God, that made me jump. How's it going? So today we're going to be talking a little bit about digestion, which is a topic a lot of people talk about in the carnivore space online. It does affect all of us. I know from consulting with and working with probably thousands of people at this point, both on vegan, vegetarian, low carb, paleo, ketogenic, carnivore, what have you, ketovore diets. Digestion and sleep seem to be things which people tend to notice the most. So we're going to go into that just probably about 5-10 minutes down the line. Just briefly, just because I've been asked a lot recently, I'm going to display my current training program. Basically, it's come to about, well, let's say I've been training since I was about 13, 14 years old. I'm 29 now. So it's been about 16 years of accumulation to get to this point. But it's always changing. So this isn't reflective of what I'm going to be doing, say, 2 months from now. But right now, where I'm at, this is roughly what I'm doing. The exercise I choose is deliberate. The order is deliberate, but I'm going to show it on the screen when I can find the presentation button. Then hopefully give you guys a bit of an idea of what's going on. So share screen, training. Bear with me, guys, because I'm using the mouse on the bed. I have to press quite hard, so it doesn't always hit the button when I press it. So if there's delays, that's probably why. Can you see that, Juliet?
Yep.
Perfect. So what I've basically got is a 3-day per week bodybuilding training split. Typically, that will follow a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Saturday. Although I have some sort of freedom to move them about just a little bit. So it might mean, say my elbows are trash, and I've got, say, a push or an upper body day on Monday. Maybe I'll push that to Tuesday. Maybe the lower body go to Thursday. And the Saturdays, well, I might get to Sunday sort of thing. But generally speaking, it's a Monday, Wednesday, Saturday split. And as you can see here, so I've got the set number, so the amount of sets I'm doing. That's more just for completeness rather than anything. I know, generally speaking, I'm going to be doing 1 set per exercise. In a lot of cases, 1 set per body part. So what have you. The weight is just listed in the weight that says on the stack. So here in the United Kingdom, beloved town of Christchurch, we use kilograms because kilograms is the correct metric to be using this side of the pond. So what we see here is 104, 100, 60. BW just means body weight, 25. And some of the different stacks of weights will have a slightly different increment based on any additional little plates you might add to it. Time to tension, or also called time under load, slightly different things, but essentially they do kind of mean the same thing. So that's the amount of seconds I'm performing each set for. Now, bear in mind, I'm also standardizing my repetitions, so each one looks pretty much roughly the same in terms of cadence, tempo, range of motion, all that sort of thing. Here you'll see green signifies that I've made an improvement versus the last session, and red signifies not good, no improvement, terrible. And the grey ones here, so they're omitted, so they're what I was doing before, but that's where I've reduced the training volume because my body cannot recover from that volume. So essentially what we've got here is a D-handle pull down, an incline press, horizontal row, push-ups, cable curls, and push down. So essentially you've got a lat movement, an upper chest movement, whole chest. You've got a mid-back movement. You've got pretty much an all-round chest movement here, a bicep and a tricep movement. AMRAP means as many reps as possible, which is what I do all the time anyway, pretty much. As long as I can do it safely, it doesn't hurt me. Then 1 plus 2 RP means 2 rest pause sets. So it means I've done 1 straight set. So it might be, 4 or 5 reps here of the cable curl. It means I rest 10 seconds, do a second set, I might get 2 reps. The third set, I might get 1 or 2 reps again. So basically it's 3 sets, but with 10-second breaks between each set. And what you'll see there is the weight will go down each time, but I've accumulated the entire time to tension in this figure here, which is why you see it drastically higher than the other ones, because I'm doing more volume in a set period of time, but with the same cadence. Red again signifies not good. So I kind of expect that, given it's the last exercise of the day on a Monday, upper body day. But that's where I've landed so far. So with this data, I'll be able to test out yeah, I'm quite well recovered. Generally speaking, when you're dieting for bodybuilding competition, you don't expect to get stronger, but in this instance, I have. How? PEDs, better recovery, better sleep, having a good handle on managing your output during the day. That's how I've done it. Is this possible for natural athletes? Probably not, unless you weren't redlining your training in the first place. That's my disclaimer, my transparency, as always. Sorry if I'm rambling a bit, but I won't rehash the same points, but I'll just briefly go through what I'm doing. So seated calf press. I pretty much max out the machine in this, and I've got pretty big calves to show for it. So that's why the time retention is so high. But also, this is the only set I do per week in terms of calf training. So what you see here, guys, on the screen as I go through the upper, lower, and full body workouts is the full workout. There's no additionals. There's no, do you do a few pump sets or no? What you see is what you get. So if you watch me in the gym, you'd see me do one set of that or 2 rest pauses, and I'll be on that machine for 2.5, nearly 3 minutes. Leg curls, we've actually had to increase volume here. This is against my sort of standard principles in terms of bodybuilding training. And it's not because I think 2 sets is better than 1. I think you can get pretty much all the results you want out of 1 as long as it's hard enough. But with my spine, hip issues, when it comes to doing a lot of, I'd say a lot of back and posterior training. So we're talking about hamstrings, glutes, upper, lower back, lats, that sort of thing. I tend to not have as good connection nowadays, or at least I can't train as hard as I'd like because the inertia, momentum that comes across when you train too hard with very specific movements in my specific case can be quite damaging. So I'm not redlining these sort of sets. That's why there's 2 of them to make up the fact that I'm not redlining it. There's still intense sets where I could say, yeah, I've trained harder than most people that go to the gym. So that's good enough for me. Leg extension, so that's a quad exercise, leg press. I've got a little note section here. So if I've put too much weight on, maybe my knees or hips feel a bit tight, maybe it just doesn't feel right that day, too heavy. So just a little note here so I can say, well, next time I'm not going to do 193, maybe I'm going to do 170, for example, something like that. Then I expect this number to go up as a result of the lowered weight. Then I've got 3 sets of crunches at the end. You can't really see all of them, but yeah, 3 sets of crunches. You should see the drop off as time goes on. I maintain the same weight, but yeah, I actually find these extremely physically taxing. An ab exercise for me is really taxing because the stability just is not there. So, you know, that's probably why there's 3, just because, well, I'm not going to be able to max out each set to absolute true muscular failure because my body will probably damage itself along the way. So I'm leveraging volume in this case rather than straight intense sets. Now the last one, same sort of format again. What you see here is generally sort of more average sort of progression throughout the week or maintaining, in one case here, a loss in terms of time to tension. You'd see this towards the end of a full training week anyway. For example, here it's my biceps. Well, they're going to be tired from the pull downs, gripping onto the lying hamstring curl. That's that machine. So I'd expect that one to be one that dips quite quickly. So you can, when you look at this, you can actually begin to rationalize based on me, my performance, my recovery, my injury, things like that. That kind of makes sense. So my weakest body parts are ones which are reflective of the exercises that are going to probably give me potential damage. But the way I lift them is immaculate, so the damage is mitigated as much as possible. But effectively, it's just a full body workout. So the main exercises that I need to bring up certain body parts kind of make sense to me. Now you might be wondering, why even put shoulders here for 1 set per week near the end? The reason is because I've still got a wound in my shoulder, which is kind of there. You probably can't see it in the camera. I don't know, probably not. But basically, every time I move the weight, it stretches that wound, which is irritating as hell. It does pull a bit, not so much now, which is why I've added in this exercise. But it's a way of me doing a movement which targets the shoulders without any excess overhead strain or inability to maintain the correct range of motion for what I'm trying to achieve based on what I can do with my limitations right now. So for me, having a weight like this, a cable row, I can see my shoulder. I've got good stability. I'm lying down almost. I've got good balance, good bracing. I can get some good blood to the area without damaging that joint, which is not yet able to withstand like a heavy sort of shoulder press movement. So that's why that's there. And again, the grey one's just been omitted there. But generally, you see across the week, strength has maintained itself quite well. I mean, if we look at the whole week, so I've done, 24, 24 sets in a week, maybe. Got one that's lowered here, one that's lowered there. So 2 lesser sets. But generally speaking, my performance has been good. So that would mean any sort of change in diet or training or whatever would be probably minimal. PEDs may increase, they probably won't though. But that's based on weeks prior to the event of these workouts. But yeah, that's the end of the training week. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and we're going to let Juliet ask any questions if she does have any. Address the chat as well if there are any questions there. If not, Juliet, feel free to bring up the next next topic.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking a lot about digestion, specifically in relation to autism, because with all 3 of my kids, it's so different. Like William, for example, the most regular, normal, you wouldn't know, it's not like nothing abnormal at all, like clockwork. Xander, it could be very bound up for a week, then he gets aggressive, it's a mess, and Ari's somewhere in the middle. And but I have heard that people with autism can have digestive issues, and I used to as well. And I don't know, it's interesting how it manifests so differently, but I do notice that 2 out of my 3 kids do have issues with it. I can't hear you.
Apologies. I thought I pressed the button, but it's the mouse on the bed again, and the outside it's noisy, echoey room. My mic's not where it usually is, so yeah, I'm trying to make it as professional as possible. Yeah, so yeah, but I mean, what you said about your experience with the 2 children having digestive issues is quite normal. I say normal as in it fits within the perimeter of a normative range of symptomology presented by an autistic individual. It's very normal.
Normal
doesn't
for
mean
autism.
it's good. Yeah, I mean, I've certainly noticed an improvement in my digestive health, but very strange things can trigger it. The main thing for me just seems to be elevated blood glucose. More blood glucose means probably more carbs, which means probably more irritants, more fibers, more starches, more things which can cause intestinal permeability, more food volume. More glucose means more insulin, which means higher gastric motility rate. So yeah, it kind of makes sense. You're going to go more the more food you eat, and if you eat the wrong food.
Right.
The problem is, if we switch, so say for example, me or you or your daughter or 2 boys, if they're on said diet, which is that and that food, then we added in something else completely random out of the blue. Well, your body's not adjusted to it yet. So what might be innocuous to other people, so for example, my brother could try a carnivore diet and he'd be going for 4 weeks straight on animal foods only. He adds in popcorn and a bag of Haribo or something at the cinema. He's completely fine. He might feel a bit, I don't know, a bit weird, I don't know what words, but a bit distended maybe in the gut, but he'll be fine the next day. But me, I won't be fine. So I think it's largely a tolerability issue rather than a biological issue. That links to everything. So, I mean, what I can say myself is my digestion is usually better around summertime because I get more sun. Now, anyone that's got any digestive issues, if you're barring like extreme things which you can't amend or mitigate through, dietary habits, I'd say get your tummy out in the sun. I think it's got a lot of benefit because one, that's going to tune your brain in to say, okay, it's this time of day, I can synthesize more food, my metabolic rate will go up. Your body works in tune with the light you take in. So if the largest surface area of your body is noticing, oh, it's sunny outside, maybe I need to go, I don't know, hunt something or do something. I'm not just sat here for the hell of it. Well, let's prime your digestion so it speeds up a bit. So you're going to lighten yourself. So you're going to get rid of any excess waste you don't need in your guts. Also, you're going to speed up a bit because your body doesn't want to be heavier than it has to be if it's anticipating, hunting down a woolly mammoth. Have you seen any woolly mammoths recently?
Have I what? Woolly mammoths?
Yeah.
No, not recently.
No, I've not come across many myself. Yeah, I've learned a lot the last few weeks. Actually, I've been reading up way more. As you guys probably tell, like the content I'm putting out, it's some of it's quite long in depth, but I'm trying to give people something which is they can stick on the background and pick up on. Like I know, when we speak, sometimes you're in the kitchen preparing lunch for the children or something. Well, that's the sort of thing you can put on in the background. Sort of, it's helpful. And it's not so much info. It's not like nailing you with all these like crazy graphics and stuff. It just gives you a bit of something in the background. But
That's
yeah,
how I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I listen to stuff. I mean, I was looking at my screen time on my phone yesterday. I think I averaged 12 to 14 hours per day on my phone. And a lot of that's listening to something. So right now,
Right.
can't see, but you won't be able to see. I've got Rick on the screen. So I'll listen to him this sort of time of day on a Saturday. I'm not streaming myself. Or usually I've got modelling or something on a Saturday, but today I've called it off because my body is not having it. What were your ideas about digestion? Get back to the point. So I rambled there.
Oh yeah, it's I think about like the diet. Obviously, I mean, well, you know how my family eats. I've told you, and Xander is very pretty strict carnivore. That's how he likes it. So like, why is he having these digestive issues? But then he does, and I try to stop it, but I can only do so much. He tends to, as some kids do, put things in his mouth that he shouldn't, like that are not food. You know what I mean? And I don't always know what he's doing when he's asleep at night, and that could contribute to it. Aria, she is better about eating meat, but I still can't get her to give up the rice. So that could have things to do with it too. There's little things, little details, trying to get to the bottom of it. Like I said, William has no problems, but it's also easier to get him to adhere to ways of eating and to not put things in his mouth that shouldn't be going into his mouth.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest thing, like obstructions and things you're not meant to chew on and choke on. Yeah. I think for me, having some kind of activity around my like eating pattern is quite useful. It's like they say go for a 10-minute walk after you eat, like an hour after or something. I find it quite helpful because it means it gets you out in the sun. It means you're upright, so your digestion's probably happening a bit smoother, maybe.
Yeah, the same. I cannot just after I eat. I have to move after I eat.
Yeah, I mean, I do a number of biohacks. I can't even find one. There's one over here. Well, there's one here. So I've got my red light therapy here. I've got my grounding mat, which I'm lying on pretty much. What else is there? Got blue light filter on my phone. Then I've got it's called a NeuroSem device. So I've roughly sussed out how it works. So it emits a frequency, like electrical frequency, I believe your tragus, which somehow gets towards your vagus nerve. Basically, what it's meant to do is improve your heart rate variability, reduce sleep onset time, improve digestion. But it's tricky to say how much of it is working because of the technology versus the idea of having a ritual, like a habit in place. So what I'm doing after each meal basically is I'm putting this thing in my ear. So it's essentially it's like an earphone wrapped around my ear. It's got a some kind of like monitor on it. I don't know, but it's got an on/off button and a high and low button. So you can time it for 60 minutes or less, however long you want. Then you've got a button which basically emits the frequency through your ear, and it feels like a pricking sort of sensation, but it's light. It's not stabby. But what you got to be careful is if you've not got a slightly wetter ear and you don't create conductivity early enough, you ramp it up from say 20 to 45, and you stick it in your ear. You're like, ooh, it's quite harsh because you don't. All you want to do is just increase it just bit by bit every few seconds. I've made the mistake a few times where I've not felt it and thought, oh, maybe my body's adapted to it or something. I don't know. and I've stuck it in my ear, and it's given me a bit of a shock. So I think I'd have to see long term in terms of blood markers to get a good idea of what's going on. But the tricky part is, I think part of it is the fact that you're having a ritual. So I'm sticking the thing on. I'm doing that. I'm mindful that I'm eating food. I've got my red light therapy putting on. That's calming me down a bit. It's adding a process, a bit like mindfulness. So, I mean, if you go about your day, Juliet, or your children did, and you sort of said, "All right, I feel quite good," then you have your food, you do some exercise. You say every time you do an event, you do breath work for 2 minutes or something. You'd see your health markers improve, but it's stacking up all these biohacks, which to me is a bit. It seems like it'd be going a bit far. If that makes sense. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that my microphone's fell off, but it's right there somewhere, so I'm not going to move.
I can hear you.
My microphone is literally in my bed, like in the. There we go. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the new device I've been using. But like I did I think I told you I went to the Citizens Advice Bureau recently.
Yeah.
Just a way to sort of see how my body's doing, how mind's doing, any sort of help that I need, support, blah blah blah, guidance. I never realized how much autistic people actually spend on their self in terms of like self-care. So the habits that I do or you do, completely different, but there's things you do which if you don't do them, you feel distress or panic, or it sets your day back in some weird way. But people don't realize that. They just see you as a person. Oh, kids come home from school, you cook dinner. They don't realize there's probably a whole other process to that. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts. What anything quirky you do, which is unique to you. But I noticed that I'm spending about 5 to 5.5 hours per day, every single day, on self care. Is in red light therapy panel, tracking my macros, my food, cooking my food, adjusting my settings on something so I can hear something better, or using ChatGPT to interpret some social scenario that I've experienced that day. 5.5 hours I'm doing that every single day, and it's like a job. I never realized that because that's what I do to cope. So it doesn't feel like a job, but it's just that time that I'm cut so much,
Yeah. Yeah, for me it's and I know I've told you a little about this. I'm trying to get more sleep, like trying to get a minimum of 5 hours, trying to find 5 to 6 is a sweet spot for me, as I've told you. But I wake up really early, usually 3 a.m., some days as early as 2 a.m. I know that sounds crazy, but I wake up, I do some yoga, I have some coffee, I take some time for me, and I do find yoga helps with the digestion as well. And I maybe prep some food for the kids for later in the day. I basically try to squeeze an entire day in before the kids are up. And then after they're in bed, I have some kratom, I have some tea. I'll, maybe watch a show or listen to a podcast, and I wind down, and I'm still awake, but I'm winding down for 2 hours. So the me time, the self-care, I'm trying to do that and not lose sleep in the name of being awake for self-care, because if I just wake up and jump into my day, like, and take no time for myself, it'll stress me out. But at the same time, can I take the time without sacrificing sleep,
Yeah, I can relate to that a lot. I mean, people listening to this will probably think, well, it's not good for your circadian health getting up at 2 or 3 a.m. when it's dark outside. And it's like, well, what is the better option? But there's always a good, better, and best case scenario. And unfortunately for you, if you've got 3 children with special educational needs, that kind of goes out the window. It'd be different if you had a partner and you had one child and you had a care or someone took after children time. Yeah, you could say I'm going to go to bed at 10 and you'd have more bandwidth. But for you, having that bandwidth in that 3 a.m. is obviously important. Otherwise, you wouldn't have done it.
Exactly.
Then if you say to me, "Oh, I never sleep," it's like, oh, okay, you said 5 to 6 hours sleep's good for you. Then, well, that's what you're getting. That's fine. There's no need to push for 8 hours because 8's an arbitrary number of what everyone says. But
and I don't feel great when I get 8 hours.
Yeah, I don't think you need that much sleep. I think,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably getting between, if I looked over a week, I'd say about 5 hours on average at the moment.
Yeah.
But before that, it was about 3 because I got an aircon recently, which has been a massive help. Because I get hot, so I get like burning hot. So it's useful to me. But yeah, you got to pull different levers at different times. You can't pigeonhole yourself into a box and say, I sleep 10 till 6 and don't drink coffee, and I do a fast for 6 hours, and I eat at 12:05, and that's when things start to go downhill, and you start worrying about the little pebbles rather than the bigger rocks.
Yeah. Exactly. And I also need that time because, I'm sure I mean, like, even my kids, who I love more than anyone, but even my kids, even if you care about people, sometimes you just need time and space in the day where there's not that, where you don't have other people in your ear and you just, it's like it can be too much sometimes, even if it is family. You need the space for your own thoughts and just to not have to deal. And like mentally, it's a strain to not have that time. So I'd rather wake up early and have that time than sleep extra and not have any mental rest,
Yeah. Yeah, I find every event I do in the day requires a rest afterwards. Like even just chatting to you, I'll be knocked out for like an hour afterwards. So that's why the amount of times I get consults with people, they're like, "Oh, I've got one more question." I'm like, "You do realize how much this is going to burden me? Like spending an extra quarter of an hour talking to you? Like they have no clue." Yeah, that is you can put boundaries in front of yourself so much, and you seem like a bad person. But I've had to do that with a lot of social media things, like restrict people and block people. I got a message the other day at like 1:30 a.m. It's something like, I think they're saying I can't sleep. I'm like, well,
Why are they telling
now you
you?
just woke. Yeah, thanks for that. Cheers.
Yeah, I
That's with
have
my
my
notifications
friend do
turned
not
off.
disturb. Right? Nobody's bothering me. Do not disturb is my friend.
Yeah. Well, I've got a question. Well, Andy's here as well, so thank you, Andy, for joining. And he's been moderator for about 3 weeks. Very good. Excellent. God, my channel is so dead. You can see people aren't getting these notifications. I mean, 9 viewers. What's worse is I look in about 5 minutes. Oh, 2 likes. Cheers for that. Thanks. You want me to do these live streams, but you don't want to reward me for it by pressing one button, which takes 1 second. Incredible.
I always hit like.
I do with everyone's that I watch. I don't see a point in not doing it because
Right.
by the time I've clicked on the video, it's like done.
Mhm.
And it does someone a favor. It helps someone out. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got a question. How is your pain level from 0 to 10 been lately, Jonathan? You're looking massive. Congrats. Thank you for your kind words. I'd say an 8. I had 1.7 about within the last 2 to 3 weeks. I had 1.7. I cried. So I was like, I feel like I could go about my day now and actually do something. But I couldn't do any more that day because I knew the next day I'd pay for it. But yeah, it's generally about an 8 at best. I get a few 9s in the middle of the night if I'm stressed out, if it's too hot, if I've been, I don't know, dealing with some medical health stuff, which I deal with like every day. So yeah, if the things are bad, they'll go to a 9 quite easily. But getting from an 8 to a 7 is a rarity nowadays. But I'm managing all right, just about. Just trying to check boxes and take my mind off pain, which is plagues me 24 hours a day. I try not to think about it. So that's why I throw my hat into bodybuilding, making videos, and chatting with Juliet about autistic stuff. So, yeah. Juliet, how was your pain today?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I slept while the kids are with their dad this weekend, so I'm thoroughly relaxed.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Andy said, I do a lot of stress management and it's changed my life a lot. I have to avoid social media, family members, mainstream media, such the last one should be standard for everyone. Yep. Completely agree, especially the last point.
Yeah.
I have to avoid people because people don't understand my boundaries, even if I tell them and I throw it straight in their face. Yeah, so avoidance is my number one tactic at the moment. So
Yeah. Yeah, I avoid social media and media except for like I'll watch some shows I like, listen to a few podcasts, but social media just for friends and family. I have an unspoken rule, but I guess I'm speaking it now that I will not engage with any political posts, whether or not I agree or disagree. I'm not feeding that beast and I don't need that in my headspace. So I avoid social media. I definitely avoid political stuff. It's not that I ignore it, but I don't talk about it with people. I don't need that.
Yeah, I think we've only spoken about this sort of thing maybe once or twice before. It's not really, I don't see it as a point. It doesn't come to mind as like, I wonder what she thinks about this. I never really cared. It's like,
right.
We have different viewpoints, but at the end of the day, we know that 90+% of the population will sit idly under their own slavery, and they'll let people do that. They'll be complicit to them, and they don't care.
Yeah.
That's
and really, I think everyone just sucks a little anyway. So
9 out of 10 people, no matter what I tell them, even if it's absolute strict fact, I can prove everything I say, they won't do anything about it. So what's the point? It's going to yield a net negative on me trying to project my own feelings towards something onto someone that just doesn't care. You know?
Yeah.
Question, Juliet. What's your thoughts on nitrosamines and cancer?
What's an nitrosamine? Sorry, I don't know what that is.
It's like an amine group, it's like an amine group which is found in cured meats. So basically, what it is something you can't. Well, technically, you can digest it, but your body tends to recycle it. And
is that like the big word for nitrates? Kind of. Is that another word for nitrates?
Almost. It's like a. There's a word for it. It just came to my head, then I forgot. I can't remember. Basically, like a brain toxin, neurotoxin.
Oh yeah, I didn't really know about that in processed meats. I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably like if you don't eat processed meats for every meat every day all the time, I wouldn't worry too much. Like if you base what you eat mainly on unprocessed meat, I wouldn't get upset. I don't know. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think the jury's not out. There's always going to be a good, better, and best case scenario. Not saying specifically about this person, but if anyone watches this back and they happen to wonder, what about cancer, processed meat, and nitrosamines? I'd say you probably got bigger fish to fry. In that, I've been on so many consults with people where they sort of they spend all this money and time chatting to me. They ask me, it's like nothing question. Like, what's the best brand of water to drink? I'm like, yeah, water's important. It's good that we drink good quality water. Yeah, but the amount you spend on it versus what you'll yield from it in terms of health benefit is piss all. You're better for spending an extra £10 on, I don't know, £10 per week or $15 per week, whatever it is, on buying, ground beef versus, I don't know, some deluxe protein bar processed meat thing that's cured in a certain way with some DPO designation or protected origin, which is overpriced and overhyped anyway. I think it's a waste of time.
Can't go wrong with beef.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is going to kill you. I say the jury's not out, as in the jury's not out. Yeah, there probably is some deleterious effects it can have, but I mean, I've been reading these books and these articles and these rodent studies. I haven't found anything conclusive. Like, if someone said to me, "Okay, you can have pastrami every day," and say I really liked it that much, I would have it every single day, and it would not cross my mind whatsoever. I wouldn't even Google it. Because I know the alternative will be much worse. So, yeah. yeah, the jury's definitely not out without any hesitation at all. Night trains turn to, trust me when it's heated. Yeah, I think so. Maybe so similar to acrylamide, likely takes a huge dose to cause cancer, but there's no proof. I think acrylamide is cumulative though, so it's best avoided. Yeah, I looked at some lab tests recently on there's actually different aldehyde substances and heavy metals within fish oils. And in contrast to what Professor Barkay said, most of them are actually clean. So what did he do? So obviously the ones in the experiment that he basically did he bought from main distributors, I think it was in the UK, I might be wrong, like all the typical branded omega-3 cod liver oil bottles. I think he bought like 9 of them. And don't quote me, but it's something like 60 or 70% of them were found to have toxic heavy metals and aldehydes in them. I did the same research myself. So I looked at independent people who have actually bought these things, done the lab test, the batch test of the end product. It turns out it wasn't nearly as much of a problem as what his study found. So I've no doubt he reported the findings as they came out, as they were. There's no cherry picking there. But what I'm saying is maybe things now are a bit better, because when that study was done, it was 5 to 10 years ago, maybe a bit longer. I can't remember. But from what I found, I looked at about 45, 50 different ones. The main thing I found irritating about fish oils, in terms of like branded bottles, whatever, was that the omega-3 content didn't always match what it said on the side. So Nordic supplements, I think it's called. Theirs was about 60%. Yeah, theirs was about 60% of the labeled claims of omega-3. The best one was actually Wiley's omega-3. The second best one I found was Barefoot Nutrition, cod liver oil. Was it? No, sorry, omega-3 oil. And if I do use those, I recommend using a dark bottle, not the capsules. Every time you put something into another space, additional processing, it's more likely to go rancid. So if you're buying cod liver oils, buy it in bottles, always.
I just get my fish oil by like eating fatty fish like salmon. I just get it from the fish.
Oh, there we go. What's going on? Yeah, sorry, that's my thing. Yeah. Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Speak.
Hi.
You're speaking. Carry on speaking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, carry on speaking.
Okay. I don't know what to say. Hello. Yeah, I just eat a lot of, I eat fatty fish for my fish oil. I do from Nordic Naturals. It's not a fish oil, but I do take their vitamin D3 supplement. I also go out in the sun, but I live in Michigan, and in the winter, I get out as much as I can, but winters in Michigan are not great. I'm glad it's spring now. We got sunshine. The trees finally are getting flowers and leaves again, so that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Huh.
Oh. In fact, my phone's going nuts. This is why I don't. Oh, which is why you just switch everything off. It's annoying. Yes, we got CB Cormac. Doesn't say what the emoji is, but I imagine it's a good one. I'll take it. I like salmon.
So do I.
Yeah, I nearly bought some today. I didn't want to carry it all. Where I've been getting meat recently in Lidl, they were meant to be doing these beef joints, which works out about $7 or $8 a kilo. But they went up to about $14, $13 per kilo. And I'm like, oh, they got loads of stock now. But I'm like, wish I got it in when they had the deal on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I find I actually save money on meat just buying from the butcher. Like, it costs less to buy from the butcher here. And it's better meat.
Yeah.
Upper Peninsula. I'm in the Lower Peninsula, but I have family in St. Ignace. So I love the UP. Where are you going in the Upper Peninsula?
Fish, yeah. Yeah, I'd eat salmon every day if I could. With like Yeah, I'd actually say I could eat salmon on its own every day, like nothing else.
So could I if money was no object. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd almost say the same about beef, but beef I do like with butter.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I usually cook my burgers with butter. And I'd say beef is our most consumed meat in this house, and salmon is actually a close second. And often we'll eat them together here, salmon and beef.
Yeah, I've been having chicken thighs recently, and they're not sitting well. They're not digesting well.
Oh, really?
So I'm gonna do beef for a few days, like on the trot, just to be sure. But I think I was eating about 1 to 2 pounds of chicken thighs per day. I think it's a bit much just for me. I don't know. Right now, I don't know.
Maybe mix it up a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm also doing about a pound or two of beef, but I don't know. I just feel a bit after the chicken thigh meal. I just feel like it sits a bit. I don't know. Yeah, we got the emojis. Oh, thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Yeah, so anyone that joins my channel as a member has some pretty cool stuff actually. So you got a whole library of other YouTube videos. So usual long format sort of stuff and short format stuff, a few shorts. My whole Carnivore Bodybuilding Bible ebook is on there, like the audio version. It's narrated by the lovely Sir David Attenborough, who's definitely not carnivore at all, which I thought was meant to be quite ironic, but I'm surprised no one's picked up on that yet. School Up event.
What is Schoolie Up?
I don't know.
Yeah, I love the UP. I'm actually going. Like I said, I have family in St. Ignace, and I'm going up there this summer to see my favorite band, Bare Naked Ladies. VIP tickets again, meet and greet, sound check, because I see them every year. But this year they're playing in Pine Knob, which is more local, and then in the UP. But I was like, I'm going to the UP so I can see family too. So 2 things in one. Nobody cares, but I'm saying it anyway. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm going to the UP.
I have to admit, this will sound really nasty, but I've listened to them and they're the worst band I've ever heard. Ever.
Bare Naked Ladies?
Yeah.
They're my favorite. Oh, I love them so much.
Their voice were atrocious.
Oh, man, I love them. Agree to disagree.
Yeah, I listen to weird stuff. Like, my taste is bizarre. Like, I don't expect people to like my music, but I was listening to the Norwegian version of what was it? It's some sort of like heroic. It was an Avengers movie theme tune mixed with some Norwegian drum and bass.
What?
It's so weird. I'll send it to you. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I quite liked it, but yeah. We're back to you in exactly 17 seconds.
Introducing Beef Up Carnivore Bodybuilding Bible. The ultimate guide for men and women to lose fat and build muscle. And the best part, it's only $12. Don't miss out on the most detailed resource available. Get your copy now at compositionconsultant.com.
Excellent. All right, we're back, apparently. That wasn't too bad, was it? Did you like the product placement?
You know what? I'm all for. I'm. Here's my thing about people. Like, if you're advertising your own thing, then like, yeah, that's your thing. I support it. But if I know people like hashtag ad, it's like, But this is your thing, so I'm like, go for it.
Yeah, it's a bit different. I mean, you can usually tell with the videos because you get an option to add in ads. But it means that it flags up on the screen, say, "Oh, skip the next ad" or something. But with me, because it's my own thing that I'm advertising for me, I'm not required to do that.
Right.
But if I was, say, sponsored by Sarul, and Sarul had a pre-designed ad that I made or something, I'd have to say,
Yeah. This thing is your thing, so I'm like, I'm fully behind because it's your thing. Go for it.
You got to promote your stuff, haven't you? I mean,
yeah.
Well, it could be a lot worse. I could not be earning any money and just be living off the state entirely. So,
Gotta make a living.
That's it. Right, have we done everyone's things? Yeah, we're pretty much there. So, do you want to discuss anything else while we're here then?
Not sure. I mean, we talked about digestion. We talked about sleep. I guess like a little bit about all I can think is like, what is your favorite wind down ritual to get you settled at the end of the day?
That's a good question. Yeah. Honestly, I just not get knocked out by exhaustion. So I just wait until I'm exhausted enough just to drop. But usually, what I typically do at the moment is I'll stick my projector on, which is on a slanted roof in front of me. I'll put something on, like a podcast, something light to listen to, anything related to what I'm interested in that week, or whatever content I'm making that week, maybe. I'm just listening to it in the background, so I'm maybe like half listening. All the lights will be off. I'll have I've got red light trim around the front of my room. Red light panel might be on for half an hour. I'll stick the earpiece thing on. So a lot of tech because I'm going to sleep, but I don't know. Then I'll just lie there like that, and this will usually be about 10:30, maybe 10. I don't know. By that point, the medication I've used would have kicked in just about. Then between about 10 and 11, I'm kind of like zombie, basically, just seeing stars and kind of listening, kind of there, kind of not.
Yeah.
That's largely it. And if I wake up in the middle of the night, I've got like a process just so I know I don't have it as a crutch kind of thing. So I wake up, and if I'm a bit sleepy, I'll try to go back to sleep. So a little sip of drink or something, maybe get to the toilet, close my eyes, do some deep, heavy breathing. If that doesn't work, well, sod it. I'm going to get my phone out. I'm going to put on a podcast to listen to. So that'll wear out my brain a little bit versus trying to desensitize my body versus desensitizing my brain. So sometimes what I'll actually do, which is probably counterintuitive to what most people say, is when I'm overburdened mentally, I'll try and find something to overburden me, to push me over that edge, so I will get really tired. So effectively, I'll be giving myself a burnout some nights just to fall asleep, but it's just a way to get to sleep. It's we'll find our little methods, like some people do a bit of butter before bed, a broth, a hot drink, tea. It doesn't really matter what you do, because as long as it's not eating a load of crap or doing something ridiculous. But
Right.
if it helps you get to sleep for an extra hour, that's going to give you so much longevity benefits over whatever little marginal thing it is that you're doing that might be a bit wrong, like reading a book without a blue light on or something,
Yeah. I'll take some kratom, and I'll have like some green tea. I like to mix green tea with some electrolytes, some Relight electrolytes, and I'll either listen to a podcast or something light that I don't have to invest too much, or I'll watch a show that I've already seen, so I don't have to. Nothing I have to really engage with too much. So sip my tea, listen to a podcast, or watch a show. Nothing too mentally taxing, and just kind of like put my brain and body in shutdown mode. And then I'm feeling good and I can go to bed.
Yeah. Well, how would we're kind of speaking a lot about the ritual side of it, but how would you address like spiraling thoughts or anxiousness before bed or worry,
For me, I have so much going on during the day that honestly, by the end of the day, I can't even form those thoughts. My brain's just like, I'm done. Yeah, I'm just like, my brain is checked out. I can't be bothered.
Yeah, that's my experience entirely. One of my family members close to me had a mental health breakdown within the last 2 to 3 years, put it that way. Just leave it broad, but anyway, their thing was anxiousness in the morning when she woke up. But a lot of people get anxious at night because you've been through your day, and so you've had a crap day. Your boss has told you off. Your thing's late. Your post didn't come. Your dog's, I don't know, needs a haircut, and the groomer's gone. I don't know. Your day just gets worse and worse, and you start to get anxious about the next day because you anticipate it. happening in another loop. But some people have it in the morning, so they dread what's going to happen in the day, because maybe they don't have enough wins in that day. So they know from the previous day, and they've not accumulated enough wins. So it's almost like there's something for it. So people that live in the past versus present versus the future. So I think that affects when you get your anxiety. Most of my anxiety I get usually in the middle of the day. So I usually tell a lot of my clients and stuff like, get hold of me when you want, but you're probably going to get the most detailed and friendly response between these sort of hours. So it's usually first in the morning. So that works quite well because that's when a lot of people do check in, fortunately. But that's largely it. I think for me, I'm someone that looks into the future a lot. So my anxieties or worries around bedtime or sleeping would be what's going to happen in 2 months from now. Like I've got a bodybuilding competition in 5 weeks. What am I worried about? Well, there's no reason for me to be worried because my past experience doesn't yield that end result. But maybe I'm a bit anxious about being in shape for my contest. Maybe about seeing my niece when she comes out. I'm anxious about it, but it's a good thing to look forward to. So it's irrational. Then my birthday's after my contest, like a few weeks after. Then all this stuff's happening sort of thing over summer. So, I look forward at things, but then sometimes that can also be a bit of a detriment. But sometimes I find it useful if I've worked for council or something, or maybe we've had a conversation behind the scenes sort of thing. Sometimes it's nice to look back and say, yeah, this happened before, but I managed to get past it. So I don't think it's so much important to be a glass half full versus half empty person. I think it's just good to be even keel, but be able to go from past to future as much as you can. So you can make the present the most rational possible.
Especially there's only so much. It's kind of might sound positive or negative, but I think it's freeing to know, yes, there is only so much you can control. And is it really helpful or going to do any good to stress about it? You do what you can. Why stress? Just, only so much you can do. And that's kind of freeing. In a sense.
Yeah, I agree. Going to address the chat quickly, then we're going to head off, I think. So I'm struggling to read this a little bit. One from CB Cormac about a book. There you go. Yes, I've actually got this book, Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. So there's lots of copies of it, and I think I've got the full hardcover color copy, which is quite cool. But it's funny when you read through it, you realize how much bullshit is in there, Juliet. I know you're into music and stuff, and you sort of sing and play an instrument sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like you read a book on a guitar like 50 years ago. I'm sure you look back and think that's not how best practice is now. That's not how we're taught now. Do you notice that at all?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with music, a lot of the stuff, the principles are still the same, I'd say, but how it's done. I'd say more some of the modern stuff annoys me, like auto-tune and such. But I do like with exercise and stuff, like I don't do bodybuilding, but I do yoga, and I have some old yoga videos from like 25 years ago, and their advice about breath, like breathing during yoga, was so often so different to what we are told now. Like it's more proper now. And I remember actually looking at the old yoga videos, and after having like professional vocal training, I was like, but doesn't it make more sense to breathe in this way, which is closer to singing? That would be better for yoga as well. Why are they telling us to breathe this backwards way? But now the current yoga practices are saying the more what I think is proper and feels more natural. So I do see what you're saying. Yeah. In a roundabout way, I did tell you. I agree. Yes.
Yeah, what I've kind of noticed is that there isn't really a definitive book on bodybuilding that absolutely makes total sense. I think I mean, the closest one to it is a book by someone called Dr. Scott Stevenson. He's I believe, an exercise physiology professor, a bit like Bart Kay. Completely different personalities, you know. This guy's like more laid back kind of thing. Not as funny, not as humorous, I'd say. Yeah, his whole thing was, it's like accurate, but you look at it and you think a lot of this is based on studies rather than based on what we see, like anecdotally. And the thing is, studies is they often go miles over each side of something, like the age old, you know, high versus low reps, or high frequency versus low frequency, or lots of volume versus low volume. And it's like, what about going more to the middle? It's rather than going like 5 to 30 reps. What if you go from like 10, 15? What's better, 10 or 15? That sort of thing. But studies always like to go in either direction. It's like, well, how do we know that error bar is that big or that big between what percentage of the population or the statistical analysis group, the participants within the study, the cohort, actually get the most benefit? Well, maybe if they did 8 reps rather than 5, they would have got better reps than 5, which was previously seen as best, rather than 30.
Right.
That's the problem with a lot of books. But my book that I've got with Jerome, the Beef Up Carnival Bodybuilding Bible, anyone that's actually read that through front to back is, I think, going to be best informed, because it's not, I mean, what we say in there is very basic in terms of the hard science. Like, it sounds quite wordy some bits, but that's because the words are wordy. There's no way to refine a word which is what it is.
Right.
But the principles on it are basically, this is what a sensible guideline is. This is how you work out what you need to do. Here's how you run an experiment, and here's how you deviate if X, Y, Z happens. So just teach you a lot of the basic background stuff, but it's not stuff you're going to find in any book online. The main reason is because we wrote it all, and it took us fucking ages. I probably did about 9 months worth of writing in that, and Jerome did a good few solid weeks in the training section. But yeah, I'm very proud of that book. Very proud.
It's a good book. The end results were good.
Yeah. If I missed anything in the chat, I'm trying to get through it. This one of your subscribers, Juliet. So, I've practiced being aware of being aware. When I can present, my anxiety goes away. Living in the past brings depression. Thinking about the future brings anxiety. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Very true. You can only control the now.
Yeah, it kind of matches my perspective. I mean, I'm a bugger for panicking about things and I get annoyed about things. How much of that situation versus being an autistic person, I don't know. People that know me on a personal level will say I'm very laid back. But I don't feel laid back. I don't feel like a guy who just like sit there and fall asleep all day, you know. It depends how they know me, when they know me, and what scenario, you know. It's
yeah. Yeah, I just try to think about, like, you know, what's the best I can do in this moment to make it work.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, there was a guy recently, without naming or anything, but there's a guy at my gym recently, and he was the guy that was like trying to grab my attention when I was in the middle of training, and it really pissed me off. And he's done it twice now. Well, I don't want to be injured because you're chatting to me when I'm training. Anyway, at one point he showed me this book. So he was, I think, in the military or something, and he had this little book. It's meant to be like a diet and training book, like a really old school pamphlet, and he's showing me this like as if it's gospel. Like, I've been doing the same workout for 30 years since I got this, and I still got the same book, and I've not had to repair it. And I'm like looking at it thinking, well, it's just a cookie cutter program, and it didn't even make sense. Like, the exercise order was all back to front, and it was like someone just had a load of stuff, like a load of information, chucked it in there, but without any rhyme or reason, or sort of, or here's how you refine your approach or anything. It's just eat a diet with this much grains, this much veg, and all that shite. And I looked at it and I was like,
stuff.
meanwhile, I come to him. This is an appeal to authority in a sense, but there was no other authority in that situation. But he comes to me as a nutritionist, sort of thing, with a degree, and he shows me this, which is written by some matron in some ward somewhere that was in the military over like a 2-day span, and he goes by the book, not by what I'd probably preach. But that's a sort of head scratcher I get quite a bit. But I don't know. He's an old guy and he's still training, and he got through cancer, so good for him, I guess.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. I think by laid back they may mean you come across as calm driven. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd say generally speaking, 95% of the time when I chat to someone, they feel what's the word? They feel capable to sort of say anything to me. Like, I am someone that is trusted with information. People do tell me all their life stories, sort of thing, when I meet them. So maybe, I don't know.
You're approachable.
Approachable, which is bizarre because I've got a giant scar on my arm, a hole in my shoulder. I'm bald. I'm dark as hell at the moment. I'm muscular and tall. I don't know. It's, you know, but you only see yourself, don't you? You don't realize other people might find the fact I'm bald quite I don't know, trusting. Like, it makes you look wiser or something. I don't know. I don't think so, but yeah. Are you ready to wrap this up?
Yeah, it's been a good talk.
Yeah, good chat. We've got no other questions. We've responded to everyone, I think, in the chat, so everyone should be happy. All three,
thanks
4
for the
people.
good questions and comments from everyone. I liked those.
Yeah, much appreciated. So just for anyone that's listening still, these will probably be they have been every 2 weeks roughly. It does depend on my schedule, and sometimes Juliet will have other things as well to do, but just assume it's usually every 2 weeks on a Saturday at this sort of time. If you don't see a notification come up the Friday before, so the day before, it's probably not on, or I've just forgotten and not said anything to Juliet, and she's like, what the hell's going on? All right, take care, guys.
Build muscle and lose fat on the carnivore diet.